What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Falcons Today. I am your host, Joey Peterson, and on today's show, we're talking about Kyle Pitts, and not just talking about the possibility of trading him. No. We're going to look at 6 different trade packages that Bleacher Report has suggested for the tight end, and I don't know, maybe some of them might be a little bit interesting to you. Now, a little bit of a reminder, this isn't all just coming out of thin air, okay? We're not making any of this up. Jordan Schultz reported late last week that multiple teams have reached out to the Falcons about the availability of Kyle Pitts. So if the Falcons do in fact make him available, what could they get in return? We're breaking down those trades on today's show. Before that, make sure you guys like today's video, okay? The June like battle, we just started it, and we're already behind. 237 though, only 237 likes behind Saints now. If you hate the Saints, if you love the Falcons, if you love free things, 3 great reasons to like today's video. Hit that big thumbs up button. Helps us out a ton. And also, you know what, does a little bit of harm to Saints now as well. Do your part and like today's video. Alrighty, the question that we're going to propose, or I guess the statement we're going to propose at the beginning of this is, if you're not going to use Kyle Pitts, then why not trade him? Okay? I think we all agree that this dude is an incredible asset and still has a massive ceiling. But it takes 2 to tango. We can all sit here poking Kyle Pitts with a stick and saying, come on, do something as much as we want. But if Atlanta's not necessarily giving him the opportunities to do something, then there's only so much you can do as a fan except sit there and watch and wish he was on the field more. And that's just been the most interesting thing about Kyle Pitts for pretty much the entirety of his career. Everybody's known what he's capable of. Everybody saw it in Florida so many years ago, yet he ranks 16th among tight ends in the National Football League in snap count. And that's on a team with, sure, some good depth at tight end, some fine depth at tight end, but nothing unbelievable. And the weird part is it seemed at the end of the season, the snap count just kind of went down. Week 14, 58 snaps. That dropped less than half, down to 23 in Week 15, and then never got above 35 for the rest of the season. And even with those limited snaps, he was still able to do some pretty good things. His average was 12.8 yards a catch. That was 6th best for all tight ends, but he was 16th in targets, 22nd in receptions, 13th in yards, 13th in touchdowns. It's just, he didn't get the ball a lot, okay? And sure, that might be a little bit his fault, but I also think you got to look at the quarterback play, you got to look at the offense, and sometimes you just got to ask, why isn't the offensive scheme sometimes as simple as good player, athletic player, stud, give him football? Sometimes it can be as easy as that. First off, before we go anywhere and talk about trade packages, I want you guys to let me know, do you want to trade Kyle Pitts? I know we've asked this before, but the answers last time we asked, they were a little split. They were all over the place. Some people wanted it, some people didn't. So weigh in with your answers down below. My thoughts is let's sit and see how he does with Penix in 2025. And I know you don't necessarily have the luxury of much after this because of the contract situation, and you gotta kind of have to decide, okay, are we going to extend him? But I just think this is his best shot to have his best year yet because of the quarterback he's going to be playing for. Really excited to see him in that offense with Michael Penix. Plain and simple. But let's talk about trade deals. These are all proposed from Bleacher Report. They got 6 of them to show you. First one coming from the Patriots. Patriots would get Pitts. The Falcons would get Austin Hooper, a 2026 third, and a 2026 fourth rounder. And I actually don't hate this. I kind of the opposite of hate this. I really like that. You get a good tight end in Austin Hooper, who, sure, it's not like he's going to go out there and get you 1,000 yards in a year, but when thinking about, and even when comparing him to the play of Kyle Pitts, it's like they're not that far off. So you get Austin Hooper to kind of fill in that gap at tight end, but then you also get a 3rd round draft pick, a late day 2 selection, and then the earliest day 3 selection in the draft. And sure, the Patriots are going to be better, but does anybody firmly believe that they're going to be picking outside of the top 15 this next season? Because I don't. They're going to take a step up. They're not going to be picking top 5 again. At least I don't think so. But, I still think that's going to be a top 15 selection. That's a really, really intriguing trade, and one that if it was offered and if Atlanta made it, I wouldn't be that mad about it. Let's go to trade number 2. This one comes in from Washington. Commanders receive Kyle Pitts. The Falcons receive a 2026 third and a 2027 third. This one's interesting because Washington can't really offer a lot because they already don't really have a ton of draft picks next year as it already stands. And so my first reaction on this is probably not. But then in the same breath, you're getting offered 2 day 2 selections, and sure, they're third rounders, but it's still intriguing to have a day 2 pick. But then you also got to weigh in the fact that Washington's probably going to be very good for the next couple of years. So those are going to be late third rounders, okay? And also, mind you, just as it sits with how the NFC is and being competitive in that conference, Daniels with Pitts, scary hours over there in Washington, okay? That duo would be phenomenal. They still would be incredibly young, and they'd be able to dominate the National Football League, I feel like, for a very, very long time. Let's go to the third trade option. This one comes from Los Angeles, the City of Angels. The Rams would receive Kyle Pitts, a second-round pick in 2026, a third-round pick in 2026. But the Falcons would get a first-rounder in 2026. It would be nice to get that first-round selection back. Remember, you traded it away to move up to draft James Pierce Jr. And so it'd be nice to have it back. Thank you so much, Producer Reed. This was the trade in the 2025 NFL Draft with the Rams, so it's like the exact same pick you would get back. But I don't really have much interest in dealing away a second and a third, okay? That's just kind of how I feel. And something to think about is if the Rams are going to be good in 2025, which I think they're going to be. They almost beat the Eagles in the second round of the playoff this last year. They played them better than anybody else in the entirety of the postseason. They're just going to run it back again with Matthew Stafford and everybody they added in the draft. That first-round pick is going to be a lot lower than most people anticipate. People see first-round pick and oh, that's awesome. Until you realize, okay, it's coming from the Rams, so that means it's probably going to be somewhere in the 25 to 32 range, which still is great, but I don't think it's worth it, especially when you're giving up a second and a third-rounder as well. So this one is going to be a big X for me. What's not a big X is our friends over at Factor. Ladies and gentlemen, it is summertime, and if you want to look your best and feel your best on the beach, Factor is the way to go. As we all know, abs are made in the kitchen. Factor is my favorite place to find any of my, if I ever want anything pre-made meals. It's so healthy. It's so easy. And summer's here, so that means more sun, more light, more time to do all the things that make summer so special. And the number one thing you don't want to be doing all summer is spending hours cooking inside. That's where Factor comes in. Factor's chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals are ready in just 2 minutes, taking the hassle out of eating well. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat, perfect for any active lifestyle over summer and beyond. With 45 weekly menu options, you can pick gourmet meals that fit your summer gains and goals. Choose from options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. And I don't know about you guys, but we work nice and long hours here at Chat Sports. And so a lot of times, I leave the office, I get home, it's 7 o'clock, I'm starving, and then I look at myself and say, Joey, why the heck are you making yourself make dinner? And this is going to take 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I'm not that good of a cook either, so it's not going to taste very good. And that's what's so perfect about Factor. It's quick, it's easy, and most importantly, it is delicious. So get started at factormeals.com/FalconsChat50off and use code FalconsChat50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code FalconsChat50off at factormeals.com/FalconsChat50off for 50% off plus free shipping. Factormeals.com/FalconsChat50off. Let's talk more trades. We got 3 more for you guys. I'm going to get on out of here. The number 4 one. The Titans would get Kyle Pitts, and the Falcons would receive Will Levis. a 2026 third, and a 2026 seventh. Let's start by talking about Levis, okay? He's not very good. I don't think that is that dramatic to say. He struggled last year, and he struggled even more his year before that. I mean, he's thrown 16 interceptions in 21 games. He has been sacked almost 70 times, so that probably doesn't help, but still, he's not smart with the football. And even if he is, sometimes he's wildly inaccurate. And let's just call a spade a spade. If Cousins leaves, and I still expect that to probably happen at some point, Will Levis is just depth. And is it worth trading a starter, a weapon, for your brand new, shiny new toy quarterback and Michael Penix Jr. to just add a quarterback in there that's going to be depth? Sure, you get a third-round selection, a seventh as well, but like compared to some of these other trade options, that's not that great comparatively. And I get it. If Cousins leaves, there's a massive step down between Michael Penix and Emory Jones. I honestly would maybe even give that competition to Easton Stick over Jones. But still, would be an intriguing option. Wouldn't be horrible to get yourself a little bit more QB depth. But if Will Levis is that, and also only a third to seventh, count me out. This one is an interesting one, okay? Bleacher Report trade number 5. The Browns would receive Kyle Pitts, and the Falcons would receive Greg Newsome II. It is the oh-so-rare player-for-player swap. Now, Greg Newsome II is a really interesting name and one that has been talked about on trade circles for a really, really long time. Now, those have kind of died down after they locked up Myles Garrett, but that was kind of what led to the discussions even happening in the first place. When Garrett went out, it seemed like Newsome might be wanting out as well. Now, the only down part about that is he's coming off his worst season in the National Football League. In 2024, he ranked 103rd out of 118 cornerbacks. Now, I will say on the flip side of that, he didn't play for a good team. He didn't play on a good defense. And outside of Myles Garrett on that defense, they just didn't really have much. And so it doesn't make a cornerback's job easy when your pass rush doesn't give you much help. And I know I'm just preaching to the choir right here for every single Atlanta Falcons fan. But also, like at the end of the day, I would rather see what the rookie defensive backs can do. You drafted Xavier Watts in the third, and I get it. Xavier Watts is a safety. He's not a corner, and you'd be getting Greg Newsome, who's a corner. But you also drafted Billy Bowman in the fourth. Like, you drafted some good defensive backs. I'm more interested in seeing how they would help out this defense, how they would help out this back end, than I am trading for a guy who's coming off of the worst season in his career. And Newsome. That might just be me. The last trade option we're looking at is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kyle Pitts, Kirk Cousins. That's what the Steelers would receive. The Falcons, 2026 second, a 2026 fifth, and a 2027 fourth. Now, outside of the first one against the Patriots, or with the Patriots, this one is one of my favorites as well. This is truly something that I feel like I could get behind. You get rid of Kirk Cousins and all that money. Obviously, they take on Kyle Pitts as well. But you get a second, a fifth, and a fourth to go on with that? That's really, really intriguing. Especially when you look forward to 2026 in the draft. And I get it. It's June. April is a long way away, but it still matters. And right now, you only have a second, a third, a fourth, a sixth, and a seventh. You need more picks. You want more picks. When you are a franchise that is still building, and whether you like it or not, this is going to be a pretty much first-year starting quarterback. You're building. And you need as many draft picks as you can, okay? As long as the Steelers take some of that contract for Kirk Cousins, I'm in. Now, if they don't, then it doesn't really make sense for me as much. Still nice, getting that second, getting that seventh, and that fourth. But that's probably kind of what would lead me to like it the most. That's kind of what would lead me to be willing to say yes, the easiest, if that makes sense to any of you guys. But intriguing offer nonetheless. We're going to go over all these 6 trades. We're going to flash them up on screen, and you tell me which trade would you rather do. Here's the first one from the Patriots, the second one from the Commanders, the third one from the Rams, fourth one from the Titans, fifth from the Browns, sixth from the Steelers. You let me know by commenting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and or 6. I think of all of those, the most intriguing to me is probably the 6th or the 1st, but you guys let me know your answers in the comment section down below. My thoughts, kind of same as they were off the top. I think they should keep them. Like, you got a quarterback that needs weapons. Kyle Pitts is a weapon. They didn't use him a ton. They really haven't used him a ton in his career. This is the season to do so. Your first-year starting quarterback, and I get it, he started a couple games at the end of last year, but your first-year starting quarterback doesn't get better without him in the lineup. I know it's hard to believe, but it's not. Make sure you guys like the video before you get on out of here. Appreciate every single one of you who watch a little bit of a longer one. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sticking with us. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, and also make sure you guys do the free thing down below. Hit the thumbs up button. Help us pass our Saints channel for our June like battle. And y'all, we'll see you next time.